Okay, you may have realized from the previous lecture in the formal report lecture series that writing a formal report takes a lot of time because the format is very, very technical, uh, very, very complex, and it's going to take some time to do it. You are not going to write a 50-page or 100-page formal report and have that formal report then disappear overnight with very little recognition. People are going to read that 50-page, 100-page, 200-page formal report. They're going to pay attention to it. And that means that you need to pay attention to detail when you're writing your formal report, because this is something that could have a serious effect on your career. Please pay attention to facts. Double check your facts and make sure when you're writing your formal report that you're making recommendations based on objective fact only. Go through and document your sources and making sure that your sources are good objective sources and that you are citing those sources correctly within the text, so that there is no appearance of plagiarism, that people know that you are somebody who can be trusted to use information correctly. Proofread, making sure that you haven't missed something. You need to be rigorous in checking your grammar. You need to be rigorous in checking your spelling so that your language is correct. You need to be very careful about this. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to your language and your tone. You need to be very careful about checking your format. Absolutely everything here needs to say that you are somebody who can be trusted. This needs to be 100% correct. This needs to be a 100% properly prepared document. The chances are that the only other times that you will write a document that is as crucial to your career as writing a formal report is when you write a resume that gets you into the interview that allows you to then get the job, or when you write a proposal for a client that then leads to the formal report that you write in fulfillment of that proposal. Both of them are your representatives. Actually, all three of them are your representatives. And all three of them say something about you as a professional. The resume showcases you as a potential employee and says this is this person at his or her absolute best. Once you bring this person in, this person will be at his absolute best in this resume. This person and this company in this proposal is at its absolute best in this proposal. And then once you actually write this formal report, you are once again saying that this is you as your representative. This is you, who you are, and this is something about the level of information, the level of professionalism, the level of perfection about the information that is contained within the report. So everything needs to scream professional. Everything needs to say that the information in that report can actually be trusted. So double check your facts. Make sure that there is no plagiarism involved. Make sure that you have cited your sources, that everything here is above reproach and can be trusted. Now, in the business world, you are probably going to be writing a formal report to a combined audience. You are very rarely going to be lucky enough to write a report for just an expert, for just a manager. You are much more likely to be writing to experts and technicians and to managers all combined, and you have to find a way to meet everybody's needs. It's actually a lot easier than you think it's going to be, because you tailor sections to individual audiences. You just need to realize that very rarely is an individual reader going to have the time to sit down and read from cover to cover a full 50 pages. People are busy. They pick and choose the individual sections that matter to them. You just need to know which individual sections matter to them. And then you write those individual sections to those individual audience types. So managers, for instance, are concerned with the way a policy or a new product is going to impact a business on a financial or personnel level. They read the sections of a report. They read the executive summary. They read the introduction. They read the conclusion, the recommendations. They read the sections of the report that give them the background and the monetary information so that they can then make decisions that allow them to improve the company or to help that company weather some financial storm. If you're writing a report that deals with an impact on a business, that deals with the impact on a company, you need to keep in mind that you are writing these particular sections to the managers in the company. And you write those sections, you adjust those sections, you adjust the language and the information to fit the manager's needs. Now, experts and technicians, the experts and technicians want to know how you got your information, and they want to know how you came to your conclusion or how you came to your recommendation. They want the detail. They want the information on how you conducted your research. They want to know how you analyzed your data, and they will read the sections where you actually talk about that. So chances are that you can write these particular sections, if they are in your particular report. You can write them in more technical language. You can use longer sentence structure because that's what they are concerned with. That's what they are familiar with. You do need to keep in mind that managers may look through these sections as well. So you might need to think about including a glossary if you have these individual sections in your report. Now remember that the technicians and the experts aren't going to need those terms defined. You're writing these sections for the experts, so you're not going to actually put those definitions in these sections. You put those definitions in the glossary. The managers can go look up those definitions on their own in the glossary, and you're writing to the experts and the technicians. They won't feel as though they're actually being talked down to because you've given them information they don't need. Now it's all about the accessibility principle. The accessibility principle says that you repeat information so that it's easily accessible throughout the report. That means that you're giving information more than once. Remember, not every audience is going to sit down and read throughout the entire report and read every single chapter. So if you in chapter 1 say a particular name and give a phone number, and then you refer to that person's name in chapter 10, chances are the person reading chapter 10 didn't read chapter 1. So you're not giving them information in chapter 10 that they've already had in chapter 1. Don't worry about being redundant. It's perfectly acceptable to be redundant. It's expected to be redundant because you're realizing that separate audiences, separate audience types are reading separate sections, and so you're making information available in multiple places so that the multiple audiences are going to get that information that they need. You make information easily accessible. And by the same token, if in chapter 10 you say, as we saw in figure 1, and figure 1 is on page 5, don't expect them to look back in the list of illustrations and figure out that figure 1 is on page 5. Tell them that figure 1 is on page 5 so that they can easily access that information. Realize that you're not going to have a reader reading all the way through the entire document and actually realizing that you're repeating yourself. It's no big deal if you repeat information in Chapter 1 and Chapter 5 and Chapter 10, because chances are the reader will not have had a chance to read Chapter 1 and Chapter 5 and Chapter 10. The accessibility principle says that you actually make that information accessible multiple times throughout your document, knowing that different audiences are going to read the information in different ways. They will pick and choose, come to the information piecemeal. You're making it easily accessible, and that's the key point. And always remember, regardless of the kind of report that you're writing, every report creates legal liability. Never sign or initial anything. Don't initial a memo of transmittal without reading the entire document. Don't sign a letter of transmittal without reading the entire document. Never sign a signature page without reading the entire document. The moment you do any of those things, you've made yourself legally liable for everything contained in that report. So never sign or initial anything without reading it thoroughly.